Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Cycle on Global TV. We're live in the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Jumai Manson. Now the news in full. President Bola Tinubu on Saturday said addressing Africa's health sector challenges will require states to forge partnership which transcend borders and sectors, leveraging collective expertise, knowledge, resources, and the private sector. Tinubu, who spoke in his capacity as the newly appointed African Union Health Champion, made this call at the Ministerial Executive Leadership Program on the margins of the 37th Ordinary Session of the Assembly of Heads of State and Government of the AU in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. He argued that Africa's effective collaboration with the rest of the world to tackle existential health challenges is not merely a strategic choice, but a moral imperative. The President's Special Advisor on Media and Publicity, Ajiru Ngelale, revealed the details of Tinubu's discussion in a statement titled President Tinubu as AU Health Champion, Transnational Collaboration Essential for Addressing Complex Health Challenges in Healthcare. The First Lady, Federal Republic of Nigeria, Oluremi Tinubu, has urged Nigerians that irrespective of their ethnic and religious affiliations to set aside their differences and take advantage of their various diversities for rapid socio-economic development. Oluremi Tinubu gave the admonition in Abuja while addressing leaders and members of Custom Wives Association of Nigeria, COA. In Abuja, Oluremi, who was represented at the Customs Officers Wives Association relaunch, investiture of patronees, a fundraising by the wife of Chief of Defense Staff Ogogo Musa, admitted that Nigeria, like the United States, is made up of people with diverse cultural background and have used same to their own advantage. Kike Lomo Okere has the details.
Speaking at the event, Oluremi Tinubu, who was represented by the POA President Ogogo Musa, charged stakeholders to invest more in women and also support women empowerment to aid in eradicating poverty in the society. She further implored women to reevaluate themselves so as to incorporate the values into the younger generation, while commending the commitment and determination of COA in fostering friendship with officers' wives and Nigerian women at large.
Our shared political beliefs, but also our shared ideas and values. Values such as compassion, respect, integrity, and empathy. As women have a pivotal role to play, we are the nurturers and molders of the society. We must reevaluate ourselves and begin to incorporate these values into the younger generation. As homemakers, the well-being of the home rests heavily on our shoulders, and we must be the support system for our husbands to help them succeed at their jobs.
The president of COA, Kikelomo Adelin, says the aim of the association relaunch is to build relationship, partnership and friendship that will support luxury of communities to create job and support economic empowerment. Speaking on drugs abuse, Kikelomo says the association will support all relevant agencies to curb drug addiction through rehabilitation victims and patients.
Our primary drive is to build relationships, partnerships, and friendships that support the nurturing of elderly communities, to alleviate poverty, create jobs, and support the economic empowerment of our members through initiatives that promote prosperity and economic opportunities. Since we came on board, we have identified many challenges facing the families of customs officers. These challenges include lack of decent housing for custom officers serving in remote border areas with their family, lack of access to decent and affordable schools for the children of customs officers serving in remote areas, need to economically empower the spouses of custom officers across the country, and a compelling need to launch an effective campaign against drug abuse across customs barracks.
Also, stakeholders at the event called for more synergy between customs and NDLEA towards tackling the menace of drug abuse.
The Customs Officers Fund is diligent is particularly evident in their recent collaboration effort with the NDLE, which led to major interception of illicit drugs. This collective action not only protects our borders, but also preserve the future of our youth.
The high point of the occasion was the presentation of awards to patrons and of eminent personalities, including the Comptroller General of Customs, Adewale Adeniyi. Kike Lomo Okere, Global Television News.
Worried by the security challenges in the country, the federal government and state governors are considering the adoption of state police system to curb a rise in insecurity across the country. This was part of deliberations between President Bola Tinubu and state governors. Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, disclosed this while briefing the State House reporters at the Presidential Villa, Abuja, after a meeting between President Bola Tinubu and governors. Uyi Agbomofuegbe brings us more details.
The minister, who was joined at the briefing by Governors Caleb Mufwang of Plateau State, Uba Sani of Kaduna State, and Sheriff Uborewori of Delta State, explained that the process is still in its infancy and would only take shape after more deliberations between the stakeholders. According to him, the possibility of state police will further be discussed, adding that a lot of work needs to be done and that President and governors have agreed to work out the modalities.
A lot of issues were discussed about the security situation in the country, the apparent food issue that the media has also been reporting about, and some other measures that will help in improving the state of our nation. Now, the first point is that a committee, the governors and Mr. President have agreed to set up a committee to deepen the conversation that has happened at the just concluded meeting. Of course, you know that it is impossible to complete most of the issues that were raised at the meeting, so it's going to be a continuous one. Secondly, Mr. President and the governors have agreed that these kind of meetings will continue in the interest of our nation. It is important that all the time the federal government and the state governors, who are leaders at the sub-national level, to continue to engage and interact collectively so that issues of national importance will continue to be addressed and we don't leave room for any speculation or for people who may seize the opportunity to say things that are not in the interest of our country. First, the National Security Advisor, the Director General of the State Services, the Inspector General of Police have been directed to coordinate with the state governors to look at the issue of those holding commodities. At this point that the nation requires food to be brought out to the people so that we can control prices and put food on the table of most Nigerians. Other commodity traders are busy holding these commodities so that Nigerians will suffer or they will make more money as a result.
There has been clamor for state police as Nigeria grapples with worsening insecurity challenges such as kidnapping and banditry. Uyi Agbomofuegbe, reporting for Global Television News.
The federal government has ruled out the importation of foods as part of strategies to address high costs of foodstuffs and economic hardship troubling the country. It has also set up a committee comprising the National Security Advisor, the Director General of the Department of State Services, and the Inspector General of Police to clamp down on traders hoarding grains. These form part of the solutions reached at an emergency meeting between President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Vice President Kashim Shettima, and state governors at the Aso Rock Villa, Abuja. Assessing the government's action to tackle the hardship in the country, the All Farmers Association of Nigeria and the organized private supported the decision of the president and the governors not to adopt importation as a solution to biting food crisis facing the nation. Over now to the Minister of the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, Doris Uzoka Annette, has said the federal government will create national job centers to match available vacancies in industries and businesses with the available talent pool. The ministry stated that it would play a key role in delivery of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's 8-point agenda for economic growth and job creation, access to capital, improving the playing field on which people and particularly companies operate, and ending poverty out of the 8-point agenda are directly linked to the ministry. Uzoka Annette in a statement noted that the job centers across the country would train and equip Nigerians to be job ready. Now, the Supreme Court dismissed the federal government's appeal to overturn the Court of Appeals decision which declared former Minister of Niger Delta Affairs Goodsday Orubebe of false asset declaration. In 2015, Orubebe was arraigned for not disclosing his properties in the asset declaration forms submitted to the Code of Conduct Bureau during the tenure as a minister from 2007 to 2011. The offense was said to be contrary to Section 15 of the Code of Conduct Bureau and Tribunal Act Cap 15 laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004 and punishable under Section 23 subsection 2 of the same Act. The senator stated that Nigerians through their various representatives will be the ones to determine whether or not the country will adopt state and local policing as against the current federal structure currently in place, as well as the type of system of government to run. This was made known to our correspondent by the spokesperson of the Senate, Yemi Aderamodu, who maintained that Senate could not form its opinion outside the views of Nigerians. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu had on Thursday, February 15, 2024, met with the state governors and agreed on the creation of state and community police systems to put an end to the menace of insecurity robbing the nation of its peace. The Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Musa Digiwa, has decried the incessant rise in the cost of cement and other building materials in the country, describing it as unacceptable. The sentiment was shared during a visit to his office in Abuja by a delegation comprising members from the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, FMBN, Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, Trade Union Congress, TUC, and the Nigerian Employers Consultative Association, NECA. According to a statement on the ministry's website, the Giwa questioned the consistent and disproportionate rise in the price of cement, particularly given that cement producers in the country primarily obtain all their raw materials locally. The Nigerian Labour Congress says it will hold a 2-day nationwide protest over the hardship being experienced by Nigerians as well as deteriorating security situation in the country. NLC President Joe Ajoro disclosed this during a press briefing in Abuja after an emergency meeting of the National Executive Council (NEC) of the union. He says the protest will begin a week after the expiration of the 14-day ultimatum issued to the federal government, which will expire on February 23rd. Sharon Ajay has the details.
The organized labor lamented that millions of Nigerians are facing hunger, erosion of purchasing power, and insecurity due to reforms that drove up inflation. The planned days for the nationwide protest are February 27th and 28th, respectively.
NEC unanimously noted its deep disappointment and condemned the actions of the federal government in refusing to implement the agreements and reached the following decisions: that it stands on the ratify the 14-day ultimatum issued to the federal government within which to implement the agreement and address the mounting crisis of survival by Nigerians. That the notice expires on the midnight of Thursday, the 22nd day of February 2024, that if on the expiration Congress is not satisfied with government's compliance with the conditions of the notice, Congress will be at liberty to take action that will compel government to implement the agreement. That next session declares a 2-day national protest on 27th and 28th of February to demonstrate outrage on the mounting hardship
Africa's biggest economy is now grappling with a cost of living crisis fueled by the highest inflation rate in nearly 3 decades. Sharon Ajay reporting for Global TV News.
Thank you, Sharon, for that report. The Nigerian Customs Service, Nigeria Immigration Service, Department of State Services and Economic Financial Crimes Commission have begun a clampdown on smugglers and herders of food items nationwide by escalating border surveillance. This is coming after the organized labor declared a 2-day protest against the current economic hardship in the country. Sources in the presidency and the NCS stated that the task force established by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to tackle food hoarding had heightened alert levels at Nigerians' land borders across Borno, Niger, Katsina, Sokoto, Kebbi, and Jigawa State, describing them as dark spots. The development comes hours after an emergency meeting between the President, Vice President Kashim Shettima, and state governors at the Aso Rock Villa, Abuja. Chairman of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Osun State Chapter, Hamid Benko, has commended Governor Dakba Abiodun for being sensitive and responsive to the plight of workers in the state. Benko spoke at the presentation of 2 new 18-seater buses to the NLC and the National Union of Local Government Employees at the Governor's Office, Okemosun, Abeokuta. The NLC chairman, who spoke on behalf of the 2 unions, said the governor is a man who is bound by his word and genuinely committed to the plight of workers. The NLC chairman pledged loyalty of workers to the Abiodun-led administration towards the optimal fulfillment of its Building Our Future Together mantra. The Oyo State government has shut down 6 health facilities across the state over quackery. The facilities sealed were said to have committed various offenses, including recruitment of unqualified personnel to provide medical services and engaging in illicit practices. Speaking during an inspection and monitoring exercise held within Ibadan metropolis, the State Anti-Quackery Task Force Committee Chairman, Dr. Adekunle Aremu, said the team carried out the operation as part of government's effort towards protecting the health and well-being of residents. He further stated that anyone found culpable would face the full wrath of the law. He urged the public to report any suspicious or illegal activity in any health facility to the Ministry of Health or the nearest security agency. Moving on, the House of Representatives asked Inspector General of Police Kayode Egbetokun to adopt community policing as outlined in Section 15 of the Nigerian Police Act 2020. The call followed the adoption of a motion on a matter of urgent public importance by Asama Ago, a member of the Labour Party from the Plateau State. Ago noted that the House had passed several resolutions in the past with the title of No Improvement in the Security Situation in Plateau State. Ruling on the motion, Speaker Tajuddin Abbas mandated the House Committee on Police Affairs and Legislative Compliance to engage with the IG to ensure compliance and report back to the House within 4 weeks. The Nigerian Customs Service has denied allegations of impropriety in the auction process for overtime seized goods. The service made its position known in a statement shared via its X handle on Saturday. It was responding to a report titled The Monumental Stealing by the Customs Auction Committee and their plans to dispose of overtime containers. The National Association of Government-Approved Freight Forwarders 100% Compliance Team recently accused the NCS of auctioning over 300 vehicles to one individual through corrupt means, involving substantial underhand payments. President Defense and Police Officers' Wives Association DIPOA Ogogo Musa says the military will ensure that internally displaced persons, IDPs, reunite back to their ancestral homes. Ogogo is the wife of the Chief of Defense Staff, CDS. She gave the assurance during the presentation of palliatives to the IDPs in Durumi, Abuja. She says it is the initiative of the military in reaching out to the populace as well as honoring the internally displaced persons. Kike Lomo Okere tells us more.
It is a moment of gratitude and relief showing on the faces of those receiving the palliatives. President, Defense Police Officers' Wives Association says the plight of the internally displaced persons serves as a reminder of the devastating impact of conflict and displacement on innocent lives, adding that it is a sobering reality that compels the association to act with urgency and humanity.
Extend beyond simply providing aid. It's about restoring dignity, offering solace, and nourishing hope amidst despair. Our mission is rooted in our commitment to serve all citizens, particularly those most vulnerable. As we witness the gratitude and relief on the faces of those receiving assistance. Let us be reminded of the healing power of compassion and its ability to mend wounds and revive faith in humanity.
She added that the initiative is to restore dignity and providing comfort, as well as offering a glimmer of hope in the midst of despair.
Behind the Renewed Hope Initiative, for her tireless efforts in uplifting humanity and empowering women and children out of poverty. Let us hold on to hope, trusting that our armed forces will spare no effort in reuniting you with your families and communities.
The chairman of the camp, Ibrahim Amadou, appreciates the military and the chief of defense staff for the benevolence, saying the provision of food items will go a long way to alleviate their plight.
In fact, and indeed, we have about 3,400 plus IDPs at the Dreaming IDPs camp, which is the biggest of the 18 camps in Abuja. Well, even before coming today, we know they are trying because we know how they have been impacting on the war against the terrorists. So today's event, like previous one 2 years ago by General Lucky Rabo and Mommy Victoria, we are happy that today we are remembered too by the Defense Department, Defense Ministry. So in addition to sacrificing their lives to defend us, they also spared time to reach out to us who are victims of the insurgency, to our children, our wives, and other people. So we are happy receiving them today.
The camp, which had about 3,400 IDPs from 8 states, was presented with items comprising bag of rice, grains, carton of Indomie, among others. The POA president reiterated the commitment of the association to strengthen the welfare of the families of the internally displaced persons. Kikelomo Okeri, Global Television News.
Defense Police Officers' Wives Association, DPOA, in collaboration with the Partnership for Eradication of Cancer in Africa, has joined the rest of the world to commemorate World Cancer Day. Speaking at the event, DPOA President Ogogo Musa said the event tag Close the Care Gap is aimed at taking proactive steps to combat cancer by sensitizing and conducting free cancer for military wives. Staff lecturers under the auspices of Academic Staff Union of Universities, the Federal University of Technology, Akure chapter, has again rejected the proposed student loan scheme initiated by President Bola Tinubu. The lecturers described the team as a way to starve public universities of funds. They argued that if implemented, it would further stiff indigent students. The chairman of ASU FUTA, Professor Pius Mogaji, stated this during an award of scholarship to some brilliant and indigenous students of the institution. You're watching News Cycle coming to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. We are on Star Times channel 276. More on the foreign scene now. Russia is developing a troubled new anti-satellite weapon, the U.S. has said, but it emphasized that Moscow has yet to deploy it. White House spokesperson John Kirby made the comments a day after senior House Republican issued vague warnings of a serious national security threat. Moscow accused the U.S. of using claims of new Russian weapons as a ruse to force Congress to pass additional Ukraine aid by hook or by crook. Kirby, who was recently made a top aide to President Joe Biden, told reporters that there is no immediate threat to the U.S. public. Still on the news now, moving on to business, Nigeria National Petroleum Company Limited, NLPCL, said the pursuit of meeting the target of 20% unconditional and 47% conditional greenhouse gas immersion reduction is contained in the nationally determined contribution on the Paris Accord signed by the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration. The NNPC Limited, Total Energies joint ventures, has achieved zero routine gas flare in all its assets. Chief Communications Officer Mr. Oluremi Sonoye disclosed this in a press statement. He stated that this feat was announced during an inspection tour of OML 100 in southeastern Niger Delta off Port Harcourt by joint NNPC Limited and Total Energies team to ascertain the success of OML flare reduction project launch in December 2023. The Naira suffered a fresh slide both at the official and powered foreign exchange market. The national currency depreciated on Friday, 1,670 Naira per dollar, 1,600 to a dollar recorded at the close of trading activity on Thursday at the powered market, while it closed at an official rate of 1,537 Naira per dollar on Friday from 1,498 Naira to a dollar recorded the previous day. The fresh rate also created 133 Naira gap between official and the powered market, signaling fresh concerns about round tripping. This development is despite increased dollar supply worth a total transaction volume of $3.83 billion in 11 days of trading activities through the Nigerian Autonomous Foreign Exchange by deposit money banks. And in sports, Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara has said his administration will sustain purposeful governance and administrative efficiency because they are helping Rivers people to engage in ventures that bring honor to the state. Fubara made the remark when he hosted the Super Eagles goalkeeper Stanley Owabeli, who performed excellently at the just concluded 2023 AFCON Cup of Nations tournament in Ivory Coast, and the River Hoopers basketball team at Government House in Port Harcourt. The governor said in providing leadership, his focus was to create an enabling environment to which Rivers people will continue to feel encouraged to do the right thing to align with what he is doing in changing the narrative of how Rivers State is perceived globally. And now we end the news cycle, and it's coming to you live from our nation's capital, Abuja. Remember, we're on StarTimes channel 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms using that Global TV Engine, other handles now showing on your screen. I am Jumai Manson. Thank you for watching. Good evening.